All right, pressure's on. Can everyone hear me? We're good? All right. Okay, so yeah, Jaden and Clan, thanks for having me. So just for a little bit of background on the sport, I'm assuming Jaden's kind of given you a very brief rundown as of now. And as you get introduced to the program as you're making the transition from ball hockey. So when it comes to the game, it's brand new in North America. So it was introduced in Sweden in the 1960s. It's I'd say in comparison to other youth sports, we'll take Finland for example. It's the third most participated sport, only followed behind soccer and hockey. On like a club and youth level, they have kids programs starting at 4 years old, and a lot of these clubs in tiny towns from 200 people will have a club, let's say a U4 club to U6 to U8, and they keep going through that program and to like what we call like junior hockey kind of thing, and then they progress through to pro kind of sports. So it's huge in Europe, and we have comparisons. So Finland, for example, has 55,000 registered members. When it comes to Floorball Canada, for example, we're currently sitting at around 280 officially registered. Pre-COVID, that was closer to 500. So we're slowly kind of growing, but this doesn't count the clubs that are not technically registered, but they just play kind of pickup once a week. So it is relatively new. Floorball in Canada. So Floorball Canada, the actual non-for-profit organization, started in 2001, and we officially signed up as a non-for-profit organization in 2006. We are a official member of the IFF, which is the International Floorball Federation, which is also working with the Special Olympics to put it into their own program as well. So not only the IFF is working with us, but they're working with Special Olympics directly to make sure that officiating, rules, and everything is pretty standard amongst all countries participating in the sport. So for what we do, and this is something I think this is a learning opportunity for us too, because we're not extremely familiar with how the ball hockey was run within Special Olympics, but it's a great opportunity for us to figure out how we can incorporate what we're good at and working well with Jaden and Special Olympics Canada. What we're kind of focusing on is youth development. We have 4 national teams. It's providing an opportunity for those athletes to play, making sure all players are registered within the IFF, and send them to international tournaments. From a youth level, it's providing programming for kids, going to schools, introducing the sport, providing equipment. And what we're going to show you today is kind of like a rule book and standards for how the sport is generally played, in more of a layman's terms, because it's going to be such a brand new kind of opportunity. But generally kind of giving the to-dos of the sport because it is so brand new. Additionally to our kind of national teams, we have a para floorball team, so what we call power hockey. So they have their carts and they have kind of modified sticks on their carts. So we are kind of being introduced to kind of a new hybrid of floorball, which makes it interesting. We have representation in British Columbia, Ontario, Nova Scotia, Quebec, and New Brunswick. We're trying to expand to each province. As of now, it's kind of locality is particular cities. So we have a club in Halifax, Fredericton, Ottawa. We have a small club in Toronto, and one in Vancouver. So slowly we're building out programs within within each province. Let me quickly jump to. So that's generally the kind of the quick intro to who we are. When it comes to the actual comparison between ball hockey and floorball, I'll make it really quick because I know DJ, Jaden, and Dondre are going to kind of be more thorough with it. But it's extremely similar to ball hockey in terms of the biggest differences. Equipment has to be the biggest. The sticks are slightly different. The ball is a little bouncier. It's lighter. It doesn't move as. If you get hit, it doesn't hurt as much. It's extremely light. Goalies don't have sticks, which makes it kind of odd. They almost look like motocross athletes when they're in net. There's boards that surround the rink, which is around the size of a basketball rink or a court, which is about knee height. So it's kind of an additional way to make the sport interesting, using the boards as an aspect of creating strategy in order to play. Let's see, goalies. So just flicking through my notes here. There's a lot to go over, but we'll get through it all here. Some quick kind of rule kind of differentials. They'll go more thorough, but as you'll learn, there's one major one which is called free hits. It's kind of an additional aspect to penalties. So what we say similar to a free kick in soccer, floorball has free hits. I'll leave it at that now because I'm going to touch on what makes floorball unique and why it's going to be a great transition for the athletes. I'll leave that probably to the end when I get to safety aspect. But I think that gives you a half decent rundown as to who we are and what we're trying to accomplish. And I think throughout the rest of this presentation, I think you'll get a decent understanding as to what we do, and then additionally how we can help your local athletes as over the next few years you get introduced to the sport. So Jaden.
Awesome. Thanks, James. So hopefully everyone has a bit of a deeper understanding about the broader landscape of floorball in Canada and kind of where we stand. But Floorball Canada has been a great resource for us and can be a great resource for you guys as we learn this new sport together. I'm just going to go over quickly what supports we're offering, and then we're going to dive into the specifics of floorball. So as most of you on the call know, we've rolled out our equipment support program. So that's the free sticks, free balls program. Forms have already expired for that, but if there's anyone that still needs equipment, they can reach out to us. The Q&A session is the next step in this, so we're going to go over everything here today. The rule book has also been released, so if you need to go over breakdowns of number of players, penalties, equipment, our rule book's online on our secondary educator page. The final piece of this is going to be our officiating booklet, and we're also hoping to do a video as well. Those resources are going to be available when you come back from March break. So that'll be a guide to your volunteer students for those who are hosting events of how to officiate. And then we'll also be able to support leading up to events. If we need to arrange a call or anything, we can help do that as well. We'll also be hoping to release some coaching supports at some point with a collaboration with Floorball Canada so that you've got some resources and supports to help you implement the sport. The most exciting part is going to be the events themselves. So we're going to be offering staff support at every single event. So if there's hosts or schools that are still unsure about the rules or need extra support, we will have a staff at every event this year, and it will be at school championships this year. So floorball will be replacing floor hockey officially, and it will be our only stick handling sport going forward. And then after the year is over, we're going to send a feedback form out to everybody and get some insight on how this went, what went well, what didn't, what tweaks we need to make, if there are rules that didn't work, equipment that needs to be readjusted, things like that. So we'll assess that at the end of this year. This is a learning experience for all of us. And then as we go on each year, we'll progressively implement a few tweaks to the rules just to bring in more floorball specific rules. I am going to turn it over to DJ, and he's just going to go into what equipment is required for these events.
Okay, so a quick equipment overview. What's required to participate. Each player on the court is required to use an IFF approved floorball stick. So those will be the ones we provide to you. A floor hockey stick or other sticks will not be permitted on the court. If they are, we will have to forfeit a team just because of its safety causes for the event. So SOO Floorball will be played 4-on-4. It'll be 3 players plus a goalie. So to have a team, you'd only need 3 sticks. Us giving out the 6 sticks is to help give 2 teams for each school, which allows you time to practice and play against each other before your qualifier. Goalies do not have a stick. That is everything you need to participate at a qualifier. Floorball sticks are oriented with lefty or righty blades. Most right-handed players will use a left-handed stick and vice versa. Sticks are at different lengths, so we have them classified as a short stick is for athletes who are between 4'7" and 5'7", and a tall stick is for anyone 5'8" and up, essentially. The other 2 key equipment pieces will be the IFF approved wiffle ball, which is the size of a tennis ball. It's a hard plastic ball, but it will have holes in it. As crazy as it sounds that it's a wiffle ball, it will not be in the air all that much. It won't do as much damage, or it won't hurt as much either. For the goalies, we do have protective gear for the goalies. So each SOO goalie is required to wear a Canadian Safety Association, so CSA approved helmet. That can be a traditional hockey helmet or that we usually use. They'll need gloves, so you can either use ball hockey gloves or hockey gloves or a catcher or even a blocker. Long pants with protective gear. So how we used to do it, you can still wear our knee pads, our hockey traditional knee pads, or we can have a pants that have shin pads as well as a little leg padding for your goalie. We also would like them to wear a chest protector. So in floorball, there is a chest protector piece at the top. If not, we can still go with our traditional goalie chest protectors that we would use in our floor hockey last year. With that being said, that is all of the protective gear we need for our goalies, and that will be used for the years to come. We are hoping that we can, going forward, at least in the long run, to be full out in all floorball gear and no more floor hockey gear. Like before, what Jaden said, what's going to be provided by the SOO. We're going to provide you guys with sticks. You've all received the email regarding the stick support and the order form. If the time has expired, but if you still haven't received an order, or if you still like to make an order, please reach out to myself, Dondre, or Jaden, and we will try our best to get you guys into our orders that will be going out hopefully in the next few weeks. The protective gear for the goalies will be provided by SO if we're going to the event. If not, the host or even schools that had it before, you can still use your original floor hockey type of gear. So yeah, SO wiffle balls, protective gear will be brought to host schools. If you do need anything, please let us know at least a week before the event so that we can try our best to get you guys as much gear or protective goalie gear to the event as possible. If your team requires anything else, just reach out to us and we will do our best to get that to the whole school so that if one of us are not there, at least it's still there for your team. Host schools will provide traditional hockey nets as well as makeshift boards that we probably use as team benches to surround the court where possible. Some gyms we may use the dividers as a little a lot of like the rink itself to help close up space so that we don't have the wiffle ball flying everywhere on the court. In regards to orders, Jaden will help you with that.
So an update on everybody's orders. So we placed the order with AccuFly. We're supposed to receive it today, but shipment's a bit delayed. So what's going to happen is next week we have a full wide staff day. We're going to come together and we are going to package all your stuff. We're going to ship it all out next week. So everybody should be receiving it next week or the week after. If you haven't received your equipment by March 14th, please contact us, but shipping costs will be taken care of by us. It'll be delivered directly to each school. And if you ordered additional sticks, you'll be invoiced for those additional sticks, and that will arrive with your base 6-stick, 6-ball package all in the same package. And I'm going to get a bit of some safety stuff. So it's a very safe sport. The only required safety equipment, as we discussed, is the goalie protective gear. However, like to enhance safety, we do recommend sport goggles where possible. Shin pads are also a good idea, but these would be extra safety precautions that keep everybody safer, but that's not typically what's incorporated in the sport, and that's not a necessary thing to have. So make sure your goalies have the protective gear, but those are the two key safety pieces. Two important rules to ensure safety are, number one, body and stick contact. So there's no body contact and no stick contact allowed. So please ensure athletes are aware of this, and athletes can't raise their sticks above the waist at any time, whether they're passing or shooting. So those are the two really important things to reinforce with your students and your athletes, just to make sure that everyone is being safe. And now on to the less exciting part. So the rules. So I'm going to highlight a couple key rules. Special Olympic rules are different than what they have in the IFF and Floorball Canada. We've adapted them to suit our needs and suit the adoption of a new sport. So we're not throwing a bunch of new concepts at everybody, including ourselves. So generally, our competition streams, team rank systems, all that stuff's going to remain the same. Floorball is played 4-on-4 at Special Olympics, and it can be played in other variations as well, but that's going to allow us to have fewer team requirements, more opportunities to play, more opportunities to score, pass, so on and so forth. As mentioned, goalie doesn't have a stick. Rosters can be up to 8 players for both traditional and unified teams. Unified teams can have a max of 3 unified partners, only one on at a time. The event times are going to be the same. So 20 minutes, 2 10-minute halves, running clock. Coaches get a timeout. Games go up to 10. Each game's going to start with a face-off, just like regular hockey. Teams will not change ends at the end of the half. Teams will stay on their same ends, and coaches can make substitutions after any whistle. Specific to gameplay, a couple things to note. There is a goalie crease. No player can enter or team can enter that crease at any time except the goalie on either team. Players can use their feet to stop or kick the ball, but they can't score by kicking the ball, and they can't kick it consecutive times. So I could stop it with my foot, but I can't start kicking it and dribbling it like a soccer ball. After a goalie saves it, they are able to throw the ball, but it's got to bounce first within their half of the playing surface. Face-offs are a big part of the game. So that occurs, at the end of each half, goal, stoppage of play, so on and so forth. If the ball does go out of bounds, we are going to have those makeshift barriers and do the best we can with those at each school. If it does go out of bounds, the team who didn't touch the ball last, they will start with the ball where the ball went out, and they'll get to hit it from there. They won't be able to move. Penalties, we do have a huge list of penalties. Those are mostly for safety reasons and reinforcing key behaviors. That's all in the technical package online, but just a couple key ones. James already touched on a free hit. So basically a free kick where the team is awarded possession of the ball at the place of the offense. So that's one of our penalties. Players can pass or shoot from stationary position. The next is the higher penalty. So that's penalty shots. That's usually given out when a scoring opportunity is interfered with. And then we also have the penalty box. So that's where players will be asked to sit out for a certain period. That's mostly just if there have been issues with player discipline or there's a fight or something along those lines. So only serious cases. I am now going to turn it over to Sarah and James, and they're going to talk about officiating best practices.
I can jump in here. Like I said, I'm Sarah. I'm Director of Referee Development for Floorball Canada. I'm super excited to be here with everybody just to talk about a sport that I really love. I did have a little presentation, but I'll go quickly through some of the things that we talk about as referees for the national program. We mainly want to lead with respect through everything, with our knowledge, with our application, and with our communication. So our knowledge of the rules, our application and how we call them on the court, and then how we communicate that with the players and the coaches. We're all new to the sport pretty much in Canada, so we're all learning. Yeah, so if you have the knowledge of the rules, apply them in the right way, then you're going to have a fun time. They kind of went over quickly the rules that are different. It's tricky for players from other stick sports like ice hockey or lacrosse. It's a lot more physical. There's a lot more contact. So as you have new players to floorball, it's just important to remind them, does no stick contact mean, yes, perfect, this is actually what I'm leading to. So anytime you hit the stick, so you can have a stick hit as a referee, you just go like this. That's any sort of contact with the shaft or the blade. A stick lift, same thing, lift the stick. That's using your stick to get underneath another stick and lift it off the ground. That's a really big one for hockey players. It's a really good move on the ice, but it is not allowed in floorball. It leads to a free hit. And then in the opposite direction, there's a stick pin. So when you use your stick on top and you pin the person's stick to the ground. Important thing to remember with this rule is the sport is very fast. So you're going to have players reaching and trying to get the ball. If ball contact happens first and then they hit the stick, you can play on. And in these instances, again, it's very, very fast. But the intention is if the player plays the ball, then the game can go on without stopping. The next important one was the distance. So they were talking about the free hits and the hit-ins when the ball goes over. It's a 3-meter distance. So the player who is hitting the ball in gets a distance of 3 meters where no defensive players can be inside of that, and with their sticks included. As soon as the offensive team with the free hit touches the ball, then that 3 meters can go away and the players are allowed to move wherever they want. Again, with the body contact, it's an incorrect push. So anytime you really see players with their hands up like this on someone's back or their arm is extending, that's an automatic call for a free hit, or if it is very intentional or dangerous, it would be a penalty. The other two important ones that I'm going to reiterate again, because it's big for our floorball players as well, is high sticks. When you're running around and trying to get around players, lifting your sticks up in the air near people's faces. I've seen like broken like orbital bones. I've seen chipped teeth. So we're always reminding players, keep your sticks down, never above your waist. Last thing to remember that I've seen a lot with new players is using their hands. They'll try and catch the ball out of the air or knock it down. That's not allowed. It's very much like soccer, where your shoulder is part of your arm. So any movement like this to hit the ball isn't allowed. Those are your main ones that you're going to see as teachers, like in gym class with new players, that are going to happen a lot. But as soon as a player kind of gets called 2 or 3 times on them, they become like adapted to the new sport and it runs a lot smoother. When you're assessing penalties, the scale of intent and severity is from careless, reckless, violent, and brutal. So as you're watching players and you're seeing them either getting into contact in the corner or making more stick hits, you just want to keep in mind, are they trying to play the ball or are they not able to play the ball at all? And are they intentionally trying to create body contact, or is it just a consequence of a natural motion? When you get into violent and brutal acts, that's where a player would be suspended. That's just a good thing to remember. And yeah, I think the rule book that was shared by SOO was very good, but I don't need to get into all the nitty gritty pieces of it, because hopefully we won't have too much stuff to call when we're out there. And I'll drop my email in the chat if anybody has any questions or wants to learn more about Floorball Canada reffing. We have online training where we have people, junior referees 14 and under, and then level 1 and level 2. We'll be incorporating all of this Special Olympics floorball into, or Special Olympics Ontario floorball into our training manuals, so that all referees in Canada will be trained on this rule book as well. Thank you.
Nice job, Sarah. I saw a comment in there from Kim, just asking about if there's videos available to show your students appropriate to the level about floorball and the rules. So I might as well jump into this now. So it's about coaching resources. We are currently developing, so we have our website, floorballcanada.org, which I would recommend you check out. We're going to have a portal on our website that has, it's going to be kind of Floorball 101 kind of thing. So we're going to have our Floorball Canada handbook, which I guess would be in this case secondary to the one SOO has created. But it gives you kind of a simple breakdown of the equipment necessary, the size of the net, the rink, general rules of the game. But we're also going to have one specific to coaches and teachers. So the coaching one, we're going to have kind of a skills and drills kind of portion of it. So from like, just like you would have your whiteboard when you walk into the rink where you can draw actual drills, it'd be something like that to show some warm-up drills you can have with your team before they start playing. And then we're going to have corresponding videos that are going to show you exactly the drills that you can run with some kind of tips and tricks that we are pulling from some European clubs, which are, in this case, the more experienced ones than we are. So we're getting kind of the best of both worlds. So we're going to be providing information, but we're getting the drills and stuff from European players. So we're eventually going to be uploading that to our own YouTube channel, which we're going to have linked to our coaches portal on our website. So it's still being worked on right now. So as soon as it is kind of completed, and I'm hoping by the spring we'll have most of that done, we'll pass that information on to Jaden, and he might be able to pass it on to everyone else. I think, and then with the teacher, so that's for coaching. For teachers, what we're hoping to do is kind of have it. How can we tie floorball into the curriculum? So for a lot of PE classes, you're going to have, so you have to grade your students based on Now, I'm not exactly sure what the curriculum would be for whichever school boards, but how can we grade our students A, B, C, whatever? So kind of what drills you could run in your gym class, and then how would you grade the student appropriately depending on if he or she's improving, and so forth. So that's another one we're going to be working on now. We do have one of our board members working on it now, so I'm hoping by hopefully the end of March to have that done, and we can pass that along as well. Just to kind of reiterate one thing with the rules, and Sarah made a great point about keeping your stick down. Part of the official rules with floorball is you can't have your stick above your knee when it comes to making contact with the ball. So when it comes to safety, the likelihood of your stick going high in the air and hitting someone, that's only really going to happen if your student is running around with it in the air. It's not going to be from any shot follow through, because the rule, you have to keep it below as long as you're enforcing it. Obviously, you're going to have a couple instances where a student is going to be trying to take slap shots and the stick might go high, but over time, if you kind of ingrain in them that you got to keep the stick low, you should be okay. Some other kind of key rules that are different. The crease violation one, it's an interesting one because it's all kind of subjective to referees. So the main point of it is so we don't have a lot of players trying to jam the ball in right on the goal line, and your sticks are hitting the goalie's fingers. So it's just a way to kind of keep that distance between them. And then if that goalie is throwing the ball, part of the rule is you can't impede the goalie from making that throw. Just like soccer, if they've grabbed the ball and they're trying to take a drop kick, the student can't get in their way. Let them throw or kick the ball. Kick for soccer, not for floorball. And then just to kind of give them that opportunity to be safe and make the play. I'm going to stick to now. So one of the things I was going to leave till now. So what makes floorball different and why is it exciting? So I'd say a very large portion of our players now, and Sarah could probably comment on this, are ex-hockey players. It's if not all of them, there might be a few that grew up playing the sport. It's an extremely easy sport to transition to from hockey. And on the international stage, a lot of the international teams will make a comment on how tough it is to play Canada because we're all ex-hockey players. We're a little more aggressive, we're fast, which makes it nice as a transition. I'd say the biggest difference that players, particularly on the pro level, will notice is that Canadians are slower on the stick handling side. It is a very stick handling driven sport. It's not that like hockey where because it's such a lighter ball compared to a hockey puck, the ball can go flying everywhere. So one of the great kind of key things when training your athletes is focusing on stick handling and passing, cradling the ball. It's not just this slap around. It's a control kind of game. And when it comes to the kind of formatting of it, when you're developing the play, I like to compare it to basketball or lacrosse in a way where you have that kind of umbrella shape. You're passing it around everyone. It's not this like run and gun sport like hockey is. Put it in the corner, chase the ball. It can end up that way, but the sport in an ideal session is kind of a passing, playmaking, beautiful game. I'll even say that. But the other thing with safety too is, and Jaden mentioned, it's not necessary, and the IFF doesn't mandate eye goggles, and neither does Floorball Canada. There are instances where we have players on our national team and on the local level that wear safety goggles, because there are going to be times that the goalie's going to throw the ball, it's going to bounce off the ground, and it might hit someone in the head. But the way I described it to Jaden is just like soccer, there's always a risk of someone kicking a ball and hitting someone. So there's always a risk in any sport like that, but because of the rules in place with no jumping, no putting your hand in the air to grab the ball, stick stay low, it is generally speaking very safe, particularly if you have good officiating. With that transition being super easy from hockey to floorball, the biggest thing too is it's extremely inexpensive. You need gym shoes, shorts, t-shirt. You have a headband, you have your safety goggles, and in this case, because you're having sticks provided to you, students can jump on really quick, enjoy the sport. It's great exercise, a lot of cardio, it's a lot of running. And it's not one of those where you're going to be banged up at the end of the session and you're going to be out for a week kind of thing. It's a nice, easy recovery. Just going to see if there's anything else I might have missed here, but I'm sure we'll probably touch on some if there's any questions. Sarah, I don't know, and you can correct me, Sarah, if you pointed out on the kind of step 6 here about officiating resources. You might have already about what, and if you have, correct me, but what we're doing when it comes to officiating and like providing resources for teachers and local refs if they're not signing up for Floorball Canada referee program.
Yeah, we'll definitely have resources as well. It won't be the full referee training where you have to like sign up for the course and hit the requirements, but the videos that you're asking for, and as well, not fully curriculum, but I do have a degree in education, so I can definitely share some resources in terms of things you can look for in students for grading curriculum, like what it is about floorball that can translate into that volleyball class or that basketball class. All of those things to set up those drills and those progressions to like advance through the curriculum. We'll share that as well free of charge. And when we get the website up working on that page, it'll be available there. So you can send parents or anybody in the community who might be wanting to learn more right to our page there.
For now, that's all I have. Jaden, if you want to take it over.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, James and Sarah. Everybody, that's all we've got. So we're going to open up the floor to questions. If you're able to just click the little hand raising button if you'd like to ask a question, but we're got the next 20 minutes to answer anything anyone might have. Josh.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Oh, good stuff. Okay, thanks for the presentation. I just, if we're hosting a floorball tournament, as far as like, and I don't know if it was answered or not, but as far as the gymnasium, will there be someone there to help us sort of like appropriate the courts and, you know, decide how many courts we're going to offer to be able to field the tournament? And like, for instance, at our school, we have a large gym and a small gym. Would we need both of the gyms? And I assume we would use like benches and things like that to make barriers, or just whatever we have around?
Correct. So we would send a staff member. So I think in this case, DeAndre will be coming to that event, Josh, and he'll support in the lead up, like everything you'll need. And he'll come and help figure out how many courts you can fit in. Team benches is what we're going to use for barriers. We're going to do the best we can to create barriers. In some instances, if we're not able to, that's okay. We'll choose floor dividers. A couple of our teachers even suggest inflatables. So we'll develop an approach working with each school host to figure out what's the best, but we'll have someone support you in that before the event, Josh, and we'll have someone there to help set it up as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Jaden, I'll actually, and Josh, one more thing with that. If you're running a larger scale tournament, let's say several schools coming, and I'm not sure where you're located, but we have clubs in Toronto, Cambridge, Ottawa. There's a gym in Belleville that has boards, and we'd be more than happy to, if you had a larger scale event, we could always help kind of support that event, bring some official floorball nets, potentially boards, or if you're close to a Belleville or Ottawa or Peterborough kind of thing, we could always have it potentially hosted at one of the schools that we work with, and then bring our staff and our national team athletes to help kind of potentially officiate the event. And this goes for any of the teachers here. So we're more than happy to kind of extend our hand on this, because we want to try to grow the sport too. So there's no better opportunity if there's already an event running on to help kind of teach the rules a bit, get to communicate with athletes themselves and see if they're enjoying it, and if there's any changes, I guess, from the rule standpoint on a local level and that sort of thing. So I can always leave my contact information with Jaden, and if there are any kind of opportunities for tournaments or learn to play events or something like that, I could speak to the rest of our board of directors and see if there's any staff that would be willing to go out and attend.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, James. So Marco has a question kind of similar to what you were talking about, James. Refs. So Marco, at this point, we're not providing refs. Like as James said, we'll work with, if a school requests refs, we'll work with James to see if there's any possibility of getting people out. But at this point, for the majority of our events, it'll be student referee volunteers. This is the exact same as bocce. So we provide support ahead of the event, hop on for a call ahead of the event if we need to, and then we'll show up to the event and do a quick run through with the officials, a quick tutorial, a quick demonstration, same as we do with bocce events. So that's the setup for this year. And maybe as floorball gets bigger in the country, there will be more officials built up that we can hire to come out to these events. But that, I believe, is our plan right now for that. Does anybody else have any other questions? Mike.
Hey, how's it going? Just when are we looking at doing the qualifiers for floorball? Like, is this like the spring we're looking at?
Yes, that'll be April, and then Dondre can reach out to you exactly what date for the Timmins area works, but it's going to be floorball's an April sport right now, and then probably foreseeable future, it's everything in April and first week of May.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Yes, Aaron, that is correct. So they're actually online. So we're good partners with the International Floorball Federation in Europe. At least our Europe branches are. So if you look it up online, Special Olympics floorball, you will see some of those videos online. Denis.
Hi guys, thanks for doing this. It's great. Just one quick thing. You mentioned that on the 14th, if the equipment wasn't there, to contact you guys. We'll be on March break, so just a heads up. That'll have to be the week after. Some of us won't be at school by then.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't receive it next week, we'll just contact you after. So I want to make sure we're on the same page for that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm aware of that. Not the timing we wanted, but we're aware of that. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks.
Thanks, Denis. Tammy is asking about our goalie equipment. James, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Oxdog that you've recommended? Which company is the one to go to?
So there's a company out of Nova Scotia. They're called Infinity Floorball.
Infinity.
So they're ones we work closely with, and they have stock, and they can ship across Canada. And then because we do work with them so closely, like we could help coordinate, get that over. But I could also, I could probably put the email in this chat. His name's Steve Broom. I don't know if it's easier to go through Jaden or not, but I could also make that introduction if you wanted. But Steve's great to work with, very knowledgeable on the sport, to help, especially when it comes to sizing of the athletes too. So I can pass that information along.
Awesome. Kim.
Hi there. Not sure if I missed this because I was running a few minutes late arriving to the presentation. Is registration open now for our area, Jaden?
Yes, it is. All registrations should be open now. If they're not, we will make sure they are by the end of the week.
Awesome. Thank you.
Last call for any remaining questions. Rob.
Yeah, just a quick question. Jaden, do you see this in the near future being part of the regular Special Olympics programs?
I don't know about near future, but I would say future, yes. If this goes well, I think that's where we're headed. We're kind of the guinea pig for Canada and at all levels, community and schools. So if this goes well, then those conversations will start to happen for other school programs in the province and in Canada. And then I believe at the national and world games, it's being discussed as well.
Thanks.
No problem. All right, well, if that's it for questions, I think that brings us to the end of our time. If anything comes up later on after this session that anyone has any questions, please reach out to me, your equipment, and we hope to get to everybody as soon as possible and provide as many resources as we can. But thank you everyone so much for hopping on with us, and we're looking forward to starting the new sport.